Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
You have to be an evil entity to do that to a human being, period. How do you, especially your stepchild that you've been trusted with?
A man reportedly held captive inside a home in Waterbury for 20 years. It's a story that shocked the nation, but nowhere else is the story more shocking than Waterbury itself. That's where we begin tonight. I'm Sarah Sanchez.
And I'm Brent Harden. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. Many family and friends, acquaintances, all now sharing their stories, including a former classmate of the stepmom, Kimberly Sullivan. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson talked to that woman who says she and other friends couldn't believe their classmate is tied to one of Waterbury's most infamous cases.
Carol Griffin says the last time she remembers seeing Kimberly Sullivan was in 1986. That was at Wilby High School, where both of them were students.
We all were like inboxing each other, like, wait a minute, isn't that Kim? Isn't that for? And sure enough, it's Kim.
That's what Griffin describes the moment she and her classmates saw Sullivan on the news.
I was shocked to hear the story.
Griffin was just 16 years old at the time she last saw Sullivan.
Years after myself.
Police say Sullivan's stepson escaped from the home he says she held him captive in for decades.
Who else is in the house? Who else is in here?
My stepson is in here.
He told first responders he lit the fire intentionally inside the Blake Street home so he could finally be free. Police say he was just 68 pounds when he was found. The arrest warrant says he had limited access to food and water and was locked in his room for up to 24 hours some days. Griffin says the shocking nature of the crime baffled her.
You have to be an evil entity to do that to a human being, period. How do you, especially your stepchild that you've been trusted with?
As Griffin continues to follow the case of her former classmate, she hopes that the best can come from such a terrifying situation.
He's brave for setting that room on fire because he didn't know what the outcome was going to be. He just hoped that it came as it did, and I'm glad it did for him. I hope he makes a full recovery.
Sullivan is currently out on a $300,000 bond, and she's expected back in court next week. We'll be following this case and provide any updates as they come along. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
We have an update from Wallingford on a deadly fire last April. Police say the mother and baby found dead inside that home were killed days before the fire. Investigators say 24-year-old Justin Varnado killed 19-year-old Charisma Johnson and 9-month-old Kylen Varnado several days before setting their Geneva Street home on fire. According to a new report, Justin Varnado doused the home in gasoline, then started a fire in an attempt to take his own life. Firefighters found him alive, but he later died from his injuries. Police confirm Varnado had been arrested just a month before on domestic violence charges and was not supposed to be at the home. A bicyclist is dead, hit and killed by a man police say was driving under the influence in East Windsor. Police say the victim was riding on the shoulder this afternoon when that driver hit him head on. He died at the hospital. Waldemar Serrano Acevedo of Springfield failed several field sobriety tests and was arrested, according to police. He's being held on bond.
It's unbelievable, when you get that phone call that you don't want to get. That's the scariest thing when you get that phone call.
Family continues to grieve following Friday's late-night shooting on Main Street in Hartford outside the American Legion that left a 35-year-old man dead. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot was at the vigil this evening where that man's family called for justice.
Reverend Henry Brown delivered an emotional and passionate speech to family and friends for a man murdered in Hartford, joined with the group Mothers United Against Violence on Wednesday. They called for justice following the death of Myron Myers, whose death marks the third homicide in the city this year.
I'm hoping for this young man's demise that we'll come to our senses and realize that we got to work together for one another.
Family and friends gathered Wednesday night at the American Legion on Main Street where 35-year-old Myron Myers was killed Friday night. There wasn't a dry eye in sight. Kathy Flippin Myers' first cousin showed up to support his mom and the rest of the family.
It hurts, and not only if it's someone in my family, but if it's someone else's child that got killed, I will be out here too. And it's painful. It's very painful, and I'm here to let my cousin know that I love her, and I'm here to give her support.
Myers' dad, Daryl Myers Sr., said he hopes the community continues to pray for him and his family following their loss.
We shouldn't be going through this. This is hard, totally totally hard on our family. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. Mother's having a hard time dealing with it. No families, no parent at all should be going through this.
Meyer's death marks the third homicide for 2025 in the city of Hartford. Reverend Henry Brown with Mothers United Against Violence delivered a message of unity for the community.
All the people out there, let there be peace. We're tired of the violence in Hartford. We want peace. We want love and kindness towards each other.
As the balloons were released into the sky and emotions were high, family members had a few final words to say.
They're going to make it through one day at a time. Wonderful father, working man, family man first. Unfortunate, tragic.
Even though the family is still grieving, Reverend Brown is hopeful someone can come forward with information that can lead to a suspect being arrested. In Hartford, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
Thank you, Kate. To get the latest update on all these stories, just scan the QR code on your screen and download the Fox 61 News app.
The final day of winter, feeling a whole lot more like spring. Look at these numbers today. We even made it to 70 degrees for a couple locations, Chester and also Hartford. Tomorrow, for the first official day of spring, it is much cooler. Temperatures right now are dropping back into the 40s, and that's when we're going to start off the day tomorrow. Areas of fog, mist, and drizzle to begin the day tomorrow, so it has a damp feel right out the gate. As we head towards lunchtime, we're looking at cloudy skies with temperatures around 50 and highs in the 50s as we head through tomorrow afternoon. We will see some rain develop around this time tomorrow night. It might even end as a few snowflakes in parts of the state. We'll explain your full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, now to the issue of animal abuse happening all over Connecticut on streets, in facilities, and in homes. State data shows a significant increase in cases year over year.
And advocates say the issue is not being addressed with the seriousness it deserves. Fox 61's Angelo Bavaro talked with some of the people raising their voices for those who cannot speak for themselves.
We're getting these numbers from the most recent crime analysis report released by the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. That report shows a 36% increase in animal cruelty cases in the first 3 quarters of 2024 compared to that same period in 2023.
On Tuesday, East Hartford Animal Control released pictures we have chosen not to show of a golden retriever found dead in a garbage can. Police are investigating what happened.
Of course, my heart broke and I cried.
That same day, a Winstead woman faced a judge on animal cruelty charges. 27 dogs were seized from a home as part of that investigation.
Why isn't the state saying anything? Why aren't they releasing a statement about, okay, we need to get a plan, what can we do?
Animal advocate Holly Fontaine points to many factors driving the rise in cruelty cases.
With COVID, abandoning them, which is not an answer, but they're doing it, and some are desperate because of the high cost of veterinary care.
Unfortunately, when the mental health issues tend to go up, so do you see rises in animal cruelty.
State Representative Liz Linehan also wants to see action.
I'm looking at the way that we handle animal cruelty on a town level, at the municipal pound level.
She introduced 3 bills on the issue this year.
Basically say that if an animal control officer is found guilty of animal cruelty, they can no longer be an animal control officer anywhere.
The proposed legislation is in part inspired by mistreatment allegations against her district's animal control facility in Cheshire, which have sparked multiple protests.
When an animal is left at an animal control facility, that after a certain number of days, a foster situation needs to be explored.
There are hardworking volunteers throughout Connecticut that are using their own money, going without, to help take care of all these animals. It's not right.
Fontaine says what is right is the hand of justice coming down harder on people found guilty.
You just can't keep slapping every single animal cruelty crime criminal on the wrist and saying, okay, don't do it again. These people are known to go out and hurt, wives and children.
So the question becomes, do we need to put someone in jail because they have abused an animal? I think the answer lies in the circumstances.
Couple that with voiceless victims that can make the burden of proof difficult.
For those reasons, it's also why we don't necessarily prosecute. And if you don't necessarily prosecute, it tends to make people believe we're not taking it seriously. It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
Representative Linehan's bills are scheduled for a public hearing next week. Reporting in Hartford, I'm Angelo Bavaro, Fox 61.
We've reached out to Governor Lamont's office for comment on the increase in animal cruelty cases. We are still waiting to hear back.
Well, new tonight, President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order that would shut down the Department of Education. The president is expected to announce the order tomorrow. He's previously said the agency is wasteful and polluted by liberal ideology. The act of formally shutting down the Department of Education is still not possible without an act of Congress, which created the department in 1979. Well, trash is becoming a real issue, according to people who live in one Hartford neighborhood.
Yeah, many who live in the area of Putnam and Mortson Street say they are seeing illegal dumping there. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules spoke with one woman whose son found something very disturbing on the ground.
Jasmine Beecham says the illegal dumping has raised health and safety concerns, especially for children, after she claims that her son picked up a needle in a local park.
He picks up a needle, and before, I could think twice about what it was, like I had to yell for him to drop it.
Beecham has lived in Hartford for 4 years and says the issues with illegal dumping have only gotten worse over the years. On her daily walks through the neighborhood, Beecham says she encounters heaps of garbage like mattresses, large slabs of wood, couches, and trash bags, all left along the street.
With the warmer temperatures coming, it obviously attracts rodents. There's a smell issue.
Beecham feels that her neighborhood is forgotten or one of the less cared for parts of the city.
It doesn't seem to be much of an issue in the more downtown areas or where there's businesses and events.
She says she called the city of Hartford multiple times to get the issue addressed, but feels a more permanent solution is necessary. In response to Beecham's concerns, I spoke with Hartford Mayor Arunan Arlampalam to hear more about the city's plans to address these issues.
We've been really active in trying to get after illegal dumping. Actually, we have a case open on that specific incident right there on Putnam Street.
As the city works to attack the issue, Mayor Arlampalam asked that residents continue to report issues of illegal dumping to the city by calling 311 or downloading the app.
Well, if you dump illegally in the city, we will fine you to the maximum extent possible based on the dumping. And yeah, we've got an extensive network of cameras and license plate readers. Hartford's not a good place to commit a crime. We will find you, we'll track you down, and we'll hold you accountable.
Aside from the city, Beecham hopes that residents will also play their part in keeping the city clean by avoiding illegally dumping altogether and finding real trash sites to dump their garbage instead of on the street. In Hartford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
We just heard back from the mayor's office.
And they say the garbage on Putnam and Mortson Street has since been cleaned up by the city's DPW workers.